Hi everyone, welcome to Skara Spotlight, a video podcast where we dig deep into the journey of content creators. Hi, I'm your host Roshni.
And I'm Chandana. Joining us today is Vishal Krishna, the founder, the editor, and host of the UpstreamLife, a podcast and media company that delves into the inspiring stories of leading business people and to spark transformation within young people and people who are starting out. So, with over 2 decades of experience as a seasoned business editor, Vishal's passion for storytelling still continues to leave a lasting impact, connecting people and ideas that transcends beyond borders, cultures, and beliefs. So we welcome you to our podcast, Vishal.
Yeah.
Hey Chandana, Roshni, thank you for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to talk to people who support creators and companies that are small and are taking off. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We are really excited to
We're
have
really
you here.
excited. Yeah, exactly. We're really excited and thrilled to have you here.
So go for it. Shoot. I'm happy to share my 23 years experience. Go for it.
So, having said that, we let's start with your journey.
Yeah.
So, what led you to create Upstream Life, and how is it? What's it about? And was it something that grew over time organically? So just let's give us an elevator pitch, basically, about what exactly that is.
Okay. Upstream Life happened during COVID. It happened because after 20 years of working in journalism, I was, let me be honest, I was a little fed up with it. I was also delusioned with it. And I realized that the art of storytelling in India had moved towards celebrating everything and anything without verifying what it is. So I was in a publication that supported startups, and obviously that was a very successful stint at yourstory.com. And
Yeah.
and I genuinely love what they've done. But I was a little delusioned that, look, while I have been on the forefront of reporting about India and its development over the last 20 years, I have not done anything for myself where I've not explored what I want to do. So I was becoming a tool in the system, and I didn't want to be a tool. So I said, okay, let me go out and do things that I like to do. Uh, what I like to do is to still capture business stories. I still want to capture ideas, but I didn't want to play the advertising and subscription game, because once you play the advertising and subscription game, you truly are not free. You can't do what you love. So I decided that I'll talk to people that I want to talk to. But okay, where do I make my money? I know content. I know that corporations need content. So I know their business. So I can sit with their marketing teams, their C-suite teams, and curate content experiences for them to influence their stakeholders. So that's what Upstream does. So I give content solutions for people in the C-suite to use to win new business or reiterate values to existing customers. So that's the business that I get paid for, and that pays for my podcasts, which are free to anybody. And I choose the entrepreneur that I want to talk to. Unlike previously, over the last 7 years, I'd had to write about startups and startup people, but I get to choose who I want to talk to rather than being told that, okay, these are the number of stories I need. I mean, there was a time when I wrote 700 stories a year, and I realized that that's not what I want to be in. But let me be honest with you, that was the later part of my career. But the early part of my career was very beautiful because I worked with some real wonderful journalists and senior editors who valued storytelling, who valued the fact that you go do your research, who valued the fact that you look at all sides and present a story. That was not happening anymore. And I realized that, that's not what I want to be in. And I decided to start my own publishing company for that very reason. And I also love history and music, more so history. So I want to eventually launch some thoughts on history, either written books that I can own the publishing. So that's why I launched Upstream. One is to help corporations with solutions, with content. Secondly, launch some books through Upstream. That's the second part of the plan. And finally, try to celebrate. I think that every now and then, I'm 45, so you have a stage where people keep evolving, and I think this is my third stage of evolution. The first stage was the learning, but wonderful research, traveled the world, met some brilliant people, met large corporations. I have met conglomerate founders or owners of conglomerations, Mr. Ratan Tata, Carlos Ghosn of Nissan, right? I have met Kishore Biani. I've met the who's who, interviewed all of them, and enjoyed interviewing them and learning the ropes of the industry. I've visited factories, I've visited forests, I've visited mines, farms, you name it. I've been all over. Then I understand technology and how it's applied in business. But then that was the first stage. The second stage was about now helping a small startup like your story grow with content and business connections. And that was the entire startup piece. How India has changed from a corporation or large company led country, to a transformation in terms of how young companies are now coming to the fore, technology ideas, new business ideas, and creating value for consumers, customers. And that's the second stage. And the third stage is upstream, where I want to do what I love. And it's the final stage, maybe one of the final stages, because if you take average life expectancy of 75 maybe in my family, I think this is one of those final stages. I've got 30 years to do perhaps a two-part thing. So let's see how that goes. So I'm sorry, that elevator pitch was a long conversation, but yeah, that's what I do.
That's an absolute wonderful journey that you have taken, and
Yeah, I think it will move people. I think you do not just stop at 30 or dreaming
exactly.
at 40. Like,
Yeah.
there's no age
There's no
bar.
age bar for learning or doing
exactly.
something. So that's really great. That's what we have learned from you now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's great.
Very kind of you. I'm glad you people encourage me. See, so that's another thing, right? You read me right. I am constantly trying to learn. That's also one of my mistakes, because people don't value my experience. They think, oh, this guy's here to learn. I think I think we are learners, and that's how we become better storytellers. We're in the business of storytelling. If you don't learn, right? But you have to push back. And one advice to young people is that if you are experienced and you believe, back yourself and put your thoughts out there. In India, I'll be very honest with you, you have to study cultures. You said cultures. I've seen travel cultures. I'll tell you what's happened with India over the last 33 years is this expression of individualism has taken over, precedence over experience. The only advice I have for young people is two parts. When I was younger, obviously, think about it like programs, like software programs. So I was that first generation of expressive Indians, okay, where I thought too much about myself and I can change things. Of course, you can change things provided there is a body of knowledge backing you. If my seniors or if my people who came before me, if they hadn't allowed me to travel to those mines, oceans, different countries, and not experience the value chain of business, I would not have been who I am today. So everybody has to go through that grind and have to respect that grind. So yes, your individualism is important, but if it's collaborative, then expressive, it works. Expressive for the sake of expressing and saying, hey, I'm right all the time, or I know this, I can do better than you, he's old, he's young. That doesn't work. We should take away this age thing. You are absolutely right. And you should get experience. And that's what everybody should, and even a 45-year-old, I will say, even if you're 45 or 55, they should not say, hey, I'm so experienced that you have to listen to me. I learn a lot from younger people today with the tools that you guys use, more tools than any, in human history. I think young people are using more digital tools, right? I mean, forget tools like fire, the wheel, technologies like that. You guys are using completely in the digital world. And I learned so much from you. In fact, I use Opus Clips for clipping my videos, but you guys introduced me to this new tool, which we are on River, right? So that's the thing. You have to constantly learn, and I also like the founder Udipta from your company, and obviously he comes from a musician's family, so I also love music and history. So you can't stop learning music. If you pick up an instrument, drums, guitar, keyboard, you have to keep learning, right? Similar concept to life. I just bring that aspect of saying, okay, am I learning enough? But the only thing is, Now the question to young people is, okay, is learning going to bring me money? That's where you have to take a risk and go and try to sell, and that is the hardest thing to do. You have to enjoy it. Not everybody becomes a millionaire, not everybody becomes the best author, but the journey is important. Failures are constant. You will be asking yourself questions about your existence, saying, hey, do I really matter? I've asked myself these questions. These are not going to stop. So remove them from your head and just go learn from experience and then express. Experience and express. The double E's, you'd say.
Yeah,
Very true, very true.
yeah, totally agreed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So yeah, you've talked about how there are moments of self-doubt, like sometimes I'm sure. So being like the upstream life being your brainchild, you've nurtured it and you've seen it grow to where it is. But we also know startups tend to fail a lot because of a lot of challenges, like burnout or scalability issues or funding issues. So were there any kind of moment like wherein you were overwhelmed and felt completely stuck with a lot of things happening around you, with a lot of feelings? Like, is there anything like that?
Fantastic question, and I'm happy to answer this, Chandana. I think
Yeah.
I think self-doubt. See, when a human being comes in and says there is no self-doubt, it's a constant. Okay, self-doubt. You can remove yourself from self-doubt, and self-doubt happens for many reasons. Okay, and it happens for, one is individual confidence. Okay, second is
Yeah.
you the support and the ecosystem around you. Third is your own mental markup and frame of mind, given your experiences with people around you and your upbringing. That's what I mean. The third part is the upbringing. If somebody says I'm not going through self-doubt, they're lying. Okay, it's just that they're trying to tell you that I don't have self-doubt. It's like saying I don't have pain. When you're born, say, your mother goes through pain, right?
Of
And the
course.
father goes through pain of expecting that child to grow, and they work together to make this happen. So there is pain. That the joy is in the process and the journey. Sorry, it's not philosophy. It's the real biological truth, right? We have a
Correct.
conscience, right? So I have. You said I've nurtured upstream. I have used words which are very nice. Nurturing is one. The second part is the failure side of it, right? Failures are more than the joys. I'll give you a quick experience. Mm, I have 5 American clients, and obviously it's recessionary in the US because of inflation. So payments are stuck, and the self doubt was just last week. I was running out of money. I have paid salaries to everybody, about the 5 of them that worked for me. I had no money for myself. Okay, so I had a self doubt saying whether I will survive this. Some people take to religion, some people take to meditation, and some people take music, history, all that. All those are good for the mind. But the doubt emerges saying, do people value what you're doing? And that's where you shouldn't go down the rabbit hole of pain. You should say that, okay, this is normal. You've taken the risk, and it happens. And I was really concerned, and when you're concerned as a leader, people around you get concerned. Just remember that. So that is the narrative. Okay, you have to show to everybody that you're fine. It's okay to share your pain, but a lot of people are not ready in India yet. Let me be honest with you. They choose to look at that as a weakness. So who does an entrepreneur reach out to? You don't have to go to a mental institution or some psychologist. You could go to people you love. Actually, if people truly love you, your friends will be your best critiques. Firstly, your friends have to be your best critiques. They should give you the truth, and they should not just hug you and say everything will be all right. They should give you the truth. You took this risk. You're in a battle. Come out of this battle strong. Don't be. I don't want you to be this way. Yes, you're going through a problem. Can I? And it can be many things. And it's good to ask. It's good to ask mental health. It's good to ask money as well, provided you should be ready to pay them back. You can't take it and fail. That's my philosophy, that in America you can fail and not pay back, but it does hurt relationships. Oil and money are like what? Water and oil. Okay? This is a saying in The Godfather that Al Pacino says, and I like that. So yes, I had a lot of self-doubt. But how did I overcome it? I overcame it by saying, okay, that's the business side of it. I have to go win more business. That's what I'm saying. Sales. You have your experience. Go sell. If people are not buying it, figure out a way. You want to go borrow money? Go borrow money. I didn't borrow money. You know what happened? I got a customer. I got a customer who will now pay. I went and sold a solution, and sometimes, yes, being an entrepreneur pushes you to the edge. And sometimes when you're pushed, research shows that when you're going through intense struggle, that's when your mind comes up with solutions. It's the truth. But provided you stay stable, because in our country, if you cannot go share things, because they treat that as a weakness, so you need to have good network around you. I can today, after 45 years, say that only 3 friends are really true friends, because they're critical, they're there for you, and they always say that you can do it. And obviously family, we all have our families. My mother is a good person. She used to be a banker, so she has taken good. She is very well read. Obviously, at her age, she listens to me. She plays the role. So the family in the old days played the role of a psychologist. They would sit down and listen to you. But that's changed because families are broken down into individual units. If you look at it, everybody's got their own phones and in their own rooms. Each room has a TV. Now everybody has a phone. So nobody knows who to go to. And that should be fixed. For self-doubt to go away, people should come together and even just listen. Is that happening to you? Okay, can I help you? Can I listen to you? And not then use that information. So that's why you have to choose your friends and family members wisely. Not then go say, hey, this person is going through this. You wouldn't believe it. This was how in the old days, I'm saying communities, we talk about community building. Why are you people on Instagram? Why are people on Facebook? Or why are people on YouTube in communities? Because they want to talk about it. They want to feel open about it. So, but unfortunately, these devices are all non-personal. They give you an immediate relief, but they're not going to give you long-term mental relief. If you're an entrepreneur, you have a community. So in our Indian history, we had communities around us. Those communities are unfortunately broken by capital. That's a long, different story because of history. And because we've lost that, people like you and me are all broken individuals who are looking for answers. But so my advice is, when you have self-doubt, like I do all the time, find somebody who you can talk to and find somebody who can help you. Don't spend time with people who don't value you. Value is you as a person, individual, not you as a business person, or not you as some kind of maverick out there. Nobody's a maverick, right? We are all human. We need people. So build communities not for the sake of hiding. Build communities that can push you. Build communities that are natural. Sometimes it's also good to have negative feedback. You will know where you stand, right? And even positive feedback is, say, hey Roshni, hey Channa, you're doing well. A negative feedback is, hey Roshni, Channa, you could do this better, but I didn't like what you've done, provided it's constructive. Negative feedback, when constructive, is very nice, but not toxic feedback. So a lot of people, I've seen so much toxicity that the self-doubt of the top, because I'm a sensitive person, the toxicity would kill me. But I have my mother, I have my wife, I have my 2 children, and I have my music, and I have people like you who do podcasts, so where I can share things. You gotta be, that is what I'm saying, experienced, expressive. Then you go earn, the third piece. That's when the self-doubt goes away. Money in bank means, you are happy. That because your company is now growing, that somebody gives credence to you as not just a company, but people around you are happy if there's money. The only thing that's united mankind so far, because there are no large-scale wars, it's because of money. Let me be honest. It's the truth. So you have to figure out, beyond that money, who's that somebody who's egging you on to make more money or build your company. So I've nurtured Upstream constantly with money. Like you nurture a baby when you earn money. Without money, you can't pay for its food, right? So you have to have solutions. If you're a business person, you got to have solutions. You got to sell that solution. You got to wait for long periods. People may not like what you're doing, and 99% of the time people don't like what you're doing, unless it's a technology, but like WhatsApp or something where people adapt it at scale, or Facebook in the consumer side or the business side, the essentials that takes care of the essentials. Otherwise, remember that everybody is doing what you're doing and you're selling. You're only as good as yourself, so don't doubt yourself. So I do doubt myself. It's natural, but move out. Go watch a movie or go see a concert. Don't drink, don't take drugs. Just go out with your friends, have a good meal, come back, get a massage for God's sake, and then come back and do this. That's how I look at it. I'm sorry I give you long-winded answers to short things,
Really
but
good.
that's how it
You're,
is.
We are listening to it. We are good listeners.
No, thank you for listening in. Thank you.
Yeah, actually,
Go
the
on.
way you say things, it's putting a
Yeah.
different perspective in front of us. So it's really, I think, we're taking notes. Don't worry. So feel free to be as expressive as you want. Yeah.
Thank you. Go on.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy to listen to you.
Yeah. So one question that is coming to me is, you've said you had your family to go back to and talk to when you were, going through struggles. So, were there any other ways that you used to navigate through challenges to, keep going, to keep upstream life moving forward as well? So, yeah.
Okay, the other thing is, I said, so you have to sell and people have to accept your solution. That's the first bit. So navigating
Yeah.
is on the personal level. I told you, I go to my mother, my wife, my children are around, my dog, my golden retriever is around. I have some good friends, like I said, the four of them, right? So the other way of navigating is you have to have your team. Vulnerability is the key word here. So if you're vulnerable, if you share your vulnerability with your team, create a team that understands that vulnerability and why they're part of that company. If people don't accept that of this vulnerability, they never believe in your story. People who don't believe in your vulnerability and can help you overcome that vulnerability are key folks that have to join a business. Okay, people who just come in and say, okay, I'm here for the salary, the solution, and go away, they can leave you anytime. So that's another way I navigate things. I test a lot of employees basis their ability to do things. One, I realize where they stand also, and I don't blame them. If they're there for the money, if they're there for the salary, so be it. But at least then you have to segment and say, okay, this is what they're good at. Don't blame them. Just get that work done for them, and they're happy, and that's their life. And it's rightly so. But those who come to you and say, look, I'm in this in the long run, and I don't care if you pay me now. Obviously I pay them. I've never missed out a payment. But they're there for you, that you can't pay them today, but you can pay them tomorrow. You got to hold on to them because they see value in what you're doing, because they see that they can grow with you. So that's another way of overcoming a outcome that works against you. Okay. But I'll talk about, because I've been an employee and a business person, I could talk about everything is cash management at the end of the day. If you're a small business, you got to be conservative. Yes, we need to enjoy the good life, but you have to watch your spending. I have a bad habit, not a bad habit. I am a human, so I spend money on. I'm a foodie, so I eat a lot. Those are small things that suddenly you see. Okay, oh man, 30,000 rupees is, for example, 30,000 rupees has gone into eating. Can I just reduce that by half? Because at 15,000, you can use it to travel to a city and sell. That's something I've been introspecting. Nobody tells me these things. So I've met friends who built multi-million-dollar businesses because they're disciplined in these things. So 3 years, first year I started, every time I've started, right, the moment I started Upstream, I had clients. There's never been a time where I've had no clients. Yes, there's been times when, the journey with a couple of clients was ending, but then immediately when the bank account's not gone to zero, it's gone to $100. It's gone $100, which is 8,000 rupees. But every time I've got to $100, not below that, I've always had customers and the money increases substantially because I get a year-long contract. Like I said, I help American companies, mostly or international companies, less so Indian companies because they don't pay me on time. So the American companies give you a contract, they pay you, and everything is fine. After that, you can start getting back to that bad habit of eating more food. But you can now. I've realized that in 3 years that I have to, because I'm a small company. I have too many small babies. I have two small babies. I have obviously my family to take care of. You got to save money. money saved is important. Don't spend it on unnecessary things. But then I do have a bad habit that, you can also, when I'm feeling low, I'll go buy a guitar, and then I'll use that guitar for a few months and donate it to a school or something. So, these are quirks that I try to have so that, that moment I feel happy. And then, provided again, there should be money. So, yeah, I have a mechanism like that.
Yeah.
I think I've never been more honest about my vulnerability than on this podcast.
That's what we are trying to bring out all the secrets.
Exactly. You're just being real, so that's very nice. That's really
Thank you.
What you said was really interesting. The fact that you pointed it about listening is so important, and also about the fact that you have to surround yourself with people who value you the most. So I feel these two are the things that will stick with us.
Yeah, value you and believe in you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what.
They'll say, okay, then if your happiness is yours. I mean, if your ambition is to be just at one particular, there's different levels, right? People are ambitious, right? Ambition is good. There are different stages of ambition. If you are okay with this level, so be happy with it. Don't crib that, hey, that guy's got there and I'm here. That doesn't work. If you're happy here, be happy. Don't let others come and take away that happiness. That's an easy thing to do for all of us. That, oh man, see my friends and see me. And sometimes, then you don't even have to talk about those things. If you're here, be happy with that. Try to get there. Even if it doesn't, it's okay. If you get there, then, I have friends who I sort of helped get here with my writing and championing them. It's a dilemma for me. That's a dilemma because, sometimes I wonder, I've done everything for free for these guys and they're here. But they don't come back to you once they get there. They're not your friends. They're guys who've used a channel to get here. That's okay. I used to have a problem a few years ago saying, hey man, I've helped so many startups at zero that have gotten here. But then after they got here, they never came back to me. Yes, that's also true. Of the thousands, I've met about 25,000 entrepreneurs, give or take. Okay, I'll be very honest with you. I don't market myself much. I think only about less than 1%, probably about 20 of them have come back to me. That's okay, man. Yeah. It's all right. Yeah. And somebody once told me, once you leave a system, which is mainstream journalism, and come and do things on your own, the network will forget you. You'll have to rebuild something. So I'm happy with that. So the dilemmas of surrounding yourself with good people is very important because that will prepare you for your new journey. You should be cognizant of that.
Yes, that's absolutely great. Vishal, we also had one more question. That you mentioned about how you have met some amazing people, editors, be it journalists, and in your podcast also you cover like amazing business and entrepreneurs. So we just wanted to know that what's that one story that has stuck with you and left you completely awestruck. Yeah. Like this was something like, oh wow, this is something that's really great. You could share.
For the last 20 years or the last immediate, the present, recent.
Yeah, immediate.
Okay, I'll tell you an immediate story. Everybody I meet, they're interesting. They have their own thoughts, and some of it is marketing, some of it is real. Let me talk about, again, going back to building communities, right? I met this founder who we're all strangers when we meet. You remember, we all talk to say, I'm a stranger to you. I don't know you. So the fact is we have to connect, right? And it's the connection and that makes it possible to get new ideas out. So when I met this American gentleman he's the founder of this company called G2.com, G the alphabet, 2 the numerical.com. G2.com, it's a marketplace for technology tools to be discovered. And Godard is the founder. I told him, we're all strangers and in half an hour we have to make the world believe that we know each other. So he was no journalist tells him that. So he was a little, he felt warm. He said somebody sharing the vulnerability again, saying that, look, we're doing this because, it's one is business one level and one level it's also an interaction. Who knows where it goes? I'll tell you what I picked from that interview. Godard is a German man now living in America with his family. His father was a businessman during the Cold War period where he did business in East Germany also. Okay? Where prepped him to do wonderful things. That his father had the ability to take risks, fail, but also ensure that there's enough to educate the children. There's enough to say that, look, you guys can do wonderful things provided you're organized. And I thought of that entire journey of obviously we talked about G2 and how it's disrupting the old old research companies like Gartner and all that. That's okay, that's business. But the fact that he and I were able to share how business people are actually organized, how there is a backing, not financially, mentally, again, that's very important. The father grooms somebody to become better, takes that risk, saying, okay, you have to take risks to win. It's okay to fail. Godard gave me this example when they started. So he's 3 times a founder. His second company, I don't remember its name now, was almost bankrupt. They almost had no money. And his father said, what's the worst that can happen? You can come stay with me, right? It's so amazing, right? That somebody says it's okay to fail, right?
Exactly.
So
Support.
so that interview I thought was one of my favorite interviews, just because my father was an entrepreneur too, and my father has failed at least 30 times. My mother has been the supporter in his case, has allowed him to fail as many times, and she's very forgiving. In the end of the day, I think that's so important. In the battle of life, it's not important about the outcome. You have to do this, you have to go through it. If you fail, you failed on your own accord. You got to own up to it. You cannot hide beneath it. It is okay, but don't be dejected. So that's what I've learned from Godard. You got to keep constantly trying. Again, to your questions, the vulnerability. You might always fail, but there's people around you. In Godard's case, his dad was there to push him on, and eventually they found product market fit. They sold that company for more than 200 and 300 million or something of that sort. You can check out that interview. I'll send it to you. That was a fascinating current interview for me. I'll share it with you so you can also take snippets of that later. So that was my favorite interview, and how an entrepreneur is actually, again, going back, the core is the community, the core is the solution. So I mean, in his case, it was his father, and in bankruptcy, he went off to his dad and said, look, I may fail, but his dad really egged him on to say, okay, go ahead, it's fine. So if that wasn't there, imagine, the mental peace would not have been there.
It's very true.
Correct.
Yes, yes.
I think very few business people talk about such personal experiences. It really, it feels more real now. I mean, I had a different perspective altogether. I feel like they were built different. They are very steadfast and everything like that. But they have seen their failures, and
Yeah, that's what
family as
makes
a
you-
support
yeah,
system.
exactly.
It's really, it's amazing because
Yeah.
we love our families.
Yeah,
Who does
true.
not? And we always have had their support, and seeing people like you in such positions have such support, have such an ecosystem there. So it's
really
amazing.
validating.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's really nice.
It's very comforting in a way.
Yeah,
I feel
exactly.
like, yeah.
But
So we're
you
not
feel like
alone.
you would-
We're not alone, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
of course.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
All this happens in day-to-day life. They don't teach us. That's why I don't like school, because they don't teach you these things.
Yeah, exactly.
correct.
They don't teach you to be emotionally intelligent.
Yeah,
So that's the thing.
yeah.
They think it's a weakness. The teachers say, "Oh no, score marks, man. Come on, teach me about life. Teach me about sports. Teach me music. Let me learn my mathematics. Give me time to practice my mathematics. But unfortunately, we are in a test kind of. That now humanity is in a race, and unfortunately the race is now not been sustainable to the ecosystem, because there's two things that have happened. One is the race from schools has created a structure where only the most successful, obviously it's like the meek don't survive. That's true. You can't be meek in the world, but meekness, just because you don't score marks, it doesn't mean you're meek or weak or a waste. The guys who are passing exams and scoring highly and getting to big positions, we're not making the planet sustainable. We're just growing the profits of corporations. Okay, is there a sustainable way of saying profits and give back to the planet? School should teach people this. The fact is that you can't be lazy. Yes, we don't want lazy people. I mean, I look at a beehive, right? Everybody has a structure. Every bee has a structure defined to it. I think that's the way the world really works. But use that intelligently. I don't like the test ecosystem, because it's not sustainable to the world of business and the earth and the planet. But can we actually say that we use everybody to their skill? The world has done a bad mapping of human beings, man. Would you agree? I think a lot of people are just left on the side saying, hey, you're done. I mean, seriously.
True.
I think we have to map. See, we have so much technology now. We got to map ourselves. We have to map our resources. That's where AI can really help us, get beyond ourselves and understand that humanity should be together and be sustainable to the planet. Maybe that's where I see. But unfortunately, all tools are used by powerful people. And, And then, again, it's like me eating eating a lot of food when I have money. Most of them just do that, when they have money, and that should go away. So think about the sustainability angle. I try to teach my kids the sustainability part of it. That's something that I think all of them who listen to the podcast must understand. How sustainable are we in the approach? I mean, the schooling system, if people are listening in, I think they have to, I mean, obviously in the end they look at, it's funny, in the old days people looked at the 10th and 12th marks, but now on top of the 12th marks you have these tests within tests. You have tests to get into tests. You have tests to get into a test center. That's it's
Correct.
uh,
Yes.
it's a great way of sieving out those who can give that. Some people are hyper organized. Okay, yes, but that doesn't mean that not everybody who doesn't make it is lazy. It's just that the commodity of seats available were less. Is there a way to use a resource beyond that? That is something we still haven't figured out. It's true, and therefore people get lost, and it's like they're blowing in the wind, like the Bob Dylan song. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. So yeah.
Yeah. Since we are talking about education, we are also aware that you studied from the Leeds University, right?
Yeah, yeah, correct.
Yeah.
I enjoyed my time there.
Yeah. So, how is the education system, different from India? How is it there? Like,
Okay.
that would be, yeah. Yeah.
I think India has caught on a lot from then and now, from in the university side of things. Not the top universities have caught up with that kind of an ecosystem where it's more open education. Where I studied the arts, so where it's not about textbook knowledge, but there's questions and within questions there are many questions. So you present an hypothesis where people agree to disagree, but it has to be data led, and you have to come to conclusions that can't be sweeping. You just can't make generalized statements. You have to go across time and space to figure out why the problem exists. That gives you a working methodology to be rational, logical, and take different viewpoints. But while everybody wants to be objective in their approach, people have their sides that they can lean on. And with the geopolitics of the world today, the education system has a major role to play. See, for example, there are so many terminologies used. Like if you look at certain, social media platforms, everyone says he, him, she, her. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Why do we need that? I see you girls here, and I mean you to be identified by those things, and you don't have to identify him as he, him. The world has changed. I mean, it's funny where coming down to the education system and what it does to you. It's these entire fringe movements that are becoming very big. The world is so broken today. I've never seen a broken world. Coming down to education, there was a time when I went to education in Leeds. It was about the world being globalized. How can we have the world work together financially? How can we have the world work together politically? And the fact is, the arguments that we were making at the time is globalization cancelling out culture? Like, you're from Assam. Assamese people are very different, right? Do you want a world where it's all unitary? No, right? How can we use different cultures and yet have a common monetary ecosystem without cancelling culture? That was the debate. But then, come 20 years now, 22 years now, the world is so fractured, Chandna, Roshni. It's scary. So if you ask me what's the difference between education and in India, it's a business. In the UK, it's also a business. In the US also, it's a business. They don't care. You pay them money, they will take you. Students are in such debt. It's leading to all kinds of malpractices because they are not able to pay back their debts. That part of the education system I don't like. It's scary. I got lucky because I got sponsored, partly by a company, partly by my mother and father. The company was a sponsorship, and that is a blessing. Not many people have that blessing. And I sometimes come to ask myself, is an university education important? Do people need education at all? If you can map the human mind and their skills, can they learn mechanical things? Can they learn, electrical wiring, plumbing? But today, this whole push towards become something, some people just say, don't study. That's also wrong. There has to be a way. Some people say AI is going to come wipe out all of you. While AI is an important tool, but there are so many ancillary services. We still haven't figured out how to clean our garbage in India. We haven't figured out how to clean our rivers. although the knowledge exists. So universities should be teaching these things, people interested in, but these don't pay. So why would people do these things, right? Think about it. So, but people make money. There's money. There's some fringe elements of companies, unregistered companies doing this, not paying tax. And there's somebody who's making a lot of money here. And obviously governments will struggle. Education was supposed to liberate you. But you're entangled yourself now. We've all entangled ourselves to companies that really don't care about you. They extract your youth and then throw you out when they don't need you because they say it's technology, they say it's economics, they say it's financial meltdown. Now, people listening in can say, hey, this guy is trying to create an utopian world. But no, I'm just saying, how do we manage these things? How do we build corporations that make the earth sustainable? It starts with the university education. Yes, an open education is very important. I'll tell you something. Your founder, Udit's father, is a self-taught man. He's a musician. Today, people take music as a fancy, because everybody wants their children in music. How many people can really come out and say that I have done this not because of the money, but because I want to learn it? So it's a counter, right? Knowledge, and it's counterintuitive in a sense. You have knowledge on one level. If you want to make money, there are so many corners being cut, and which is not, again, sustainable to the planet. So universities have to somehow figure out, at least in the humanities side, we try to figure out what's the best outcome possible. And that's where some of the greatest economists, political philosophers, thinkers, political economy thinkers, they try to advise leaders into this path of sustainable planet. How do you ensure that, I don't want to say that resources to be shared. When I say, I'm not a communist, I'm a capitalist, I'm a progressive capitalist. How these resources can bring the best outcome for people who are working. How can you help the poor come out and really aspire to do something that can only happen with an education system that doesn't work on marks alone or few seats alone. This fancy degrees don't matter. Today we have a shortage of doctors, okay, in India, for example, but all the doctors are concentrated in cities and the pay scales fall. So you pay 2-3 crores for your education, and your pay scale for a surgeon in Bangalore, if you're a junior surgeon, or in Bombay, drops. How are you going to pay off that debt? So, but what is the incentive to go work in a rural area? Although rural hospitals do pay well. So it's a dichotomy. You see these questions. One is on morality, one is on our existence. Where do we stand? So university education there was more open. Here it's about marks, still about seats, still about, yeah, I made it. Those top 10, top 100 names. Oh, that guy's great. Then a very clever kind of thing. I think we're shooting ourselves in the foot with that system. That system that we are on is at least 100-year-old system. The world is moving on. The world geopolitics. You have to consider the education system with lots happening around the world. It's changing. The geopolitics is changing. The economics is changing. There are wars all around. The world is not the same as 20 years ago. The great growth that we saw till 2007, till I was 27, even till 2019, the world has completely derailed itself into saying, okay, it's not because people hate each other or something. The fact is, nations haven't caught up with technology. Nations have not figured out how to bring people out of poverty. And education has become a business. Healthcare has become a business. A few corporations are happy making money because in the end of the day, there are a few shareholders making money. People may call me a Marxist, but this is not Marxism. I'm just saying that how do we ensure that we get corporations that make our education sustainable? How do we get governments that ensure that, knowing the problems, how do we ensure that in the end, each of us gets used by our best ability? And sometimes I advise young people that you should not get misled by saying, don't listen to your parents, you are a superhuman. Some people will say, okay, after you fail, take up religion. Just remember, there's only one simple thing. You need to be constantly aware. You need to be reading. There's information. You need to be reading. You need to be meeting people. There are no gurus today, unlike the old Gurukul systems. So you need to find books. You need to go spend time in libraries. You can access those PDFs also today of books. So read the right things, understand how trends happen. The trends are only, if I have to simplify the trends, find out what the technology trend is, find out how the economy works, and find out where you stand within these things. And obviously, a lot of people can say, they can't even afford education. So if you are getting into debt for education, figure out your position in the world because you need to pay back that money to the bank. today the bankers are the ones living off, I mean, in a very, when I say bankers, it's the banking institutions that are really the most powerful organizations in the world, the financial ecosystem. As for people, education system, they make you borrow more money. You've been reading stories of what's happened to that one company in Bangalore. It was so big. They kept selling those courses. You know who I'm talking about. I don't want to name them because they may come after you. And when that happens, I think this is a strange time and there's so much responsibility. Again, education, to answer your question, in India it's still about marks. In the West it's still open, but it's still about payment. It's so expensive. Undergraduate degrees for 1 year in the US is $100,000, close to, in a good place. $100,000 is 83 lakhs. It's a lot of money. How will you pay back that money? 83 into 4 years. So that's 256 or something. It's about 2 crores, 2.5 crores. How will you pay it back if you don't have a job? And jobs don't pay you that salary right away. They don't say come and take. They will say again, experience and earn, right? And there's the amount of bullshitting happening in the world today across generations, even in my generation. It's become so ludicrous that sometimes, this is where I doubt myself. I say, what the hell? I just want to say, hey man, I just want to go back to my books and my writing and I want to be peaceful. But then again, you have kids to take care of. So just remember, these are things, everything stems from the education system. Again, long answer, but we are not ready. Even globally, the education system is broken. I can give you the US education system works on, if you're born in a good area, for example, I don't know which part of, Guwahati do you guys live in, but in Bangalore, for example, so let's take an analogy. If you're born in the US, in California, in, say, the Bay Area, the kids in Palo Alto have better government schools than the kids in a San Bruno, for example. Palo Alto is richer, and government funds places which are richer because the grades are better. So the government funding to low level areas, say let's say a Compton in near LA, my God, that's why you have crime rates growing up with kids, because all the education's free till the 12th. So imagine who's going to win. The person in Palo Alto is always going to win, or a person in Atherton is going to win, not somebody in these smaller demographics. So US education system is also broken. They have their own challenges. The Indian education system is all about school, send them in. I have met government school kids in the 9th, 10th who can't read and they've been pushed to 10th. How did that happen? Why did that happen? So why are we wasting this life, right, for them, instead of training them? They are definitely going to get into construction jobs or some kind of physical jobs. Why send them to school?
Correct.
Why just being in school, you're avoiding child labor for sure. Okay.
Yeah. Of course.
But have you answered that person's next 50 years? No. So that's the scary situation, man. I mean, I'm sorry, I am very honest about these things. I care about these things. It frightens me. We are not living, we are living in a bubble of sorts, and there's chaos, and then there's people say chaos will bring meaning. But this chaos, chaos is important, but chaos, that's, again, you have to use chaos to learn, to improve, right? We have been the same, man. Last 70 years, we have been the same. Just that money has increased in our pockets over the last 30 years. Then nothing else has changed, according to me. I'm not a pessimist, but I hope things change in education.
Yeah, with all the institutions and all, it's more about being materialistic. And it's kind of like it's kind of like vicious circle, and we are kind of like the change makers.
Change makers who should, and when I say change makers, shouldn't become activists. They should become proactive. And again, okay, small incremental changes. Can you adopt a government school? Can you adopt a child's education? Can you support the small business around your house? And by the way, you supporting them is not gratitude or charity. You have to ask a return and go there and learn something. A lot of people will take it as charity and not do anything. You should be careful. Again, human dilemma is that I think things are evolving rapidly and we are going to see a lot of chaos. And see, materialism is a state of mind also, which is a good thing. Not everybody can be a Buddha. I say Buddha in the right sense, right? Very few people get enlightened and leave things. Very few people. Religion is important for those who find meaning in it, but nothing takes away from the fact that you participate in daily life and try to change things by being proactive in your neighborhood, proactive in your companies. But that is where the answers are lost, right? Because we don't have the time. Life itself is so short. Where do you stand? You have to answer those questions. And at this point of time, there's nothing like getting your solution validated, getting paid for it, and using that money for good, for yourself or for the community around you. That's why I keep saying, as a business, are you building sustainable communities around you? It can be water, it can be energy, it can be education, it can be healthcare, and you don't have any expectation in return. And then you have to manage the political outfit because some people want to benefit from your work, right? You have to handle that. It is strange. A lot of people watching this may feel it odd that I'm bringing all these questions of history, morality, technology, and how technology converges onto our lives a lot more and influences us. So healthcare is another haphazard. I've looked at that industry very seriously, and it's not good. I'll be very honest. People have asked me to operate my hip, my knees, when it was not necessary, and I've fixed it with just exercise. So that's how terrible the world's become, man. So we got to fix many things. We got to fix many things, but it's not one generation to change it. Change happens in over a period of time, over several interactions. For example, in America in 1894, America was very clientelistic, paternalistic. It was only powerful families and favors. Clientelistic states are institutions are those that favor certain families, certain friends. Okay, it's also patrimonial in many ways. So how that changed? Somebody should read this book by Francis Fukuyama. It's called The Origins of Political Order in 3 volumes. Okay, very beautifully laid out on how institutions and change happen. Change doesn't happen today. It's a constant. It's a constant. Like you talked about how these things change in the education system. In the US, there was a golden period between 1890 and 1971 where meritocracy was first, and meritocracy is not marks in the efforts that you do in the work. It started with the forest department in America. Can you believe it? All the forests in America, many animals were killed, the forests were denuded. But it took a person called Gifford Pinchot to use his skills, much like M. Visvesvaraya in India, the celebrated engineer who lived 100 years, died of 61, 62, I don't remember. These people moved mountains. Gifford Pinchot actually influenced the American political ecosystem to value meritocracy instead of appointing family members and friends to great posts. He said we need to have a system that brings in people who value nature, for example, who value nature for the economic benefit and also for the preservation of nature. So there's a balance. So that changed America between 1890. Can you believe it? A single department started at the forest department, spread across other institutions in America, and the great American love for life and dream and entrepreneurship. Took it to another level. Obviously, there were wars as well in between that they used, and the American bankers and financiers benefited. But generally, when an institution is transparent, accountable, that's when change happens with its people also. We need that. So it's also the transformation of the political ecosystem, the bureaucracy, our corporations, right? It's a triage of these people, these things, these institutions. But I would recommend that one book in 3 volumes. Okay, it's by Francis Fukuyama. Very interesting start, voluminous, but you can put it on Audible if you want, or you could read it at your convenience. You can read small chapters. And change doesn't happen again. You can wish for everything to be better today, but it happens if you are able to move your network to accept certain things and not just your personal benefits of saying I'm powerful. While you can do that, you can also get people around you to change. So that's a long answer again. I'm sorry.
Very insightful.
Some things if
No,
it's if
that's
it's
okay.
That's
We,
if
really
it's
great.
go if it's going over the
we're
top, I'm
enjoying the
happy.
Yeah.
conversation,
Yeah.
actually.
Go on, Roshni Chanda. You had more questions.
Yeah.
So, like you mentioned also about diversity and globalization, right? And India's diversity is so fascinating, and I feel like it reflects in the way people do business too. So, have you come across any interesting differences in how people from different regions, like let's say north, south, east, west, approach business or approach entrepreneurship as a whole?
Entrepreneurship as a whole.
Maybe you
Okay,
can briefly share.
with the
Yes.
on culture, right? Yes, India. There's no other.
Yeah.
This diversity in India is its core rich value. Imagine there's so many. I mean, one religion, many jatis, and there are other religions as well, right? Imagine it is so. People in the other parts of the world may call it fragmented, but I think this is called chaos working at its very best. I mean, obviously, even though capital has come and fragmented our culture, we have new jatis emerging, we have new professions emerging, and you see this, right? People blend languages. I can speak multiple languages in India, right? I can speak Hindi, I can speak Telugu, Kannada, Tamil, but I can write only English and Hindi. That's interesting, right? Which country would have such diversity? I think only India can have that diversity, and it allows that because Indians value to grow in that diversity. They use the best of everyone, but then they also go back. It can also be negative in many ways, but that's okay. That's okay, right? I mean, in that interaction, we have. It's amazing just how our democracy has worked with all its problems, with all the scarcity of resources, with the urban agglomerations, with economic disenchantment. We have been experimented on as people for the last 300 years. Think about it. We have been experimented by colonialism. We've been experimented on by socialism. Now we are an experiment of capitalism, right? And within all that, we have our families, our jatis, our religions. See, I have no problem against which faith a person follows. Okay, that's very clear. But I believe in only one core philosophy, that life is a battle. You cannot run away from it. You have to face it head on as an individual. That is at an individual level. You can choose to hide, but bad things will always come and try to knock you off. You don't let it knock you off. Bad things are all mental. I'm not saying people. It can also be people, but it's mostly here. Okay, so you don't let your negative thoughts affect you.
Yeah.
As a community, for me, there's nothing wrong being close to your communities. A lot of people today who have blended two communities together. Or the other day, a kid who'd become a doctor was asking me, I come from two different jatis, and what am I? I said, look at the people have got the history of these jatis, and it's not religious, it's vocation. So I had to give them, because I've studied it, I had to give him that history of his father's side and his mother's side. Okay, his mother's side were bangle makers and traders, which he didn't know, and his father's side were farmers. So I said, look, either way, you are using the value chain. The value chain is the earth. Where do you get glass from to make bangles? It's the earth, right? And where do you get fruits and vegetables from, or even rice? So I said, you're rooted in these things. Yes, you may be called different jatis, but look at the experience that you have as a person to feel proud about your culture. Your mother speaks one language, your father speaks one language, right? You can choose what you want to be and be part of both communities and become that bridge. It's so beautiful, right? Unfortunately, there's an attack on this system. Unfortunately, there's an attack saying, hey man, forget what your parents were, forget what this is, man. In the end, they'll come back and say, I look at the current world as a simple thing. They tell you you're a superhuman, you're Superman, Supergirl, Superwoman when you're 18, 16, 17, 18, all the way up till 40, where you say, I am a super person, and then life keeps beating you down, and then when you fall, they'll say, hey, here's religion for you. Become dogmatic. Now you can find your dogmatism here. Our culture was not built like that, okay? It was built, our culture, it was not. I want people to know this. There's a very beautiful book by a Kannada writer translated in English now. It's become a bestseller after 15 years. It's by S.L. Bhairappa. It's called Avarna. I would recommend every Indian to read it, because we are an accepting nation. We are a progressive nation. Within our chaos of chaos, our culture is built for self-inquiry. Our culture is built to be within the earth, actually. It's made for people to be together. It's not made for saying that mine is better and yours is not. Unfortunately, we are cornered. We are the last civilization on this planet that can be like that. I'm unfortunate. Look at the. I mean, every other country. Japan is unitary. Japan's lost it because of the aging problem, and its own culture is being destroyed by capitalism and American culture. Okay, America itself is an agglomeration of many cultures, many Caucasian cultures, and obviously the Black Americans, and and their cultures, right? They have a rich history, beautiful history as well, and they're not able to blend it. In our case, we have solved that chaos thousands of years ago, and that chaos has been, again, political order keeps evolving. Change is constant. uh, Again, coming back, that is why India is beautiful. I would request all Indians, you can have your own biases, but between the biases we choose to work together. So that's the beauty of India, man. And we have not gone, I mean, I just don't go out and start hitting my neighbor, do I? Or take a gun and shoot them or something. Although many a time you feel that way, but you don't, because you are, in the end, you are inquiring. So the percentage, isolated incidents are across in India is a very large nation, but majority of them want to work with each other, correct? But we also let others sit on our heads and change us. These religions from abroad that just come and say that, hey, we are one family, and everything is solved. Where can you solve it? Nothing is solved. Get a little practical, right? That's what I'm saying. People find answers in prayer, great, but just remember, don't go sell saying yours is the best, man. I mean, a lot of the foreign religions do it. I mean, and they try to take you onto their side and say that we're a community now, and you'll find a place somewhere in heaven when you pray. I mean, seriously, man. I mean, what about this life? This is heaven for me. My books, my family, my music, my business, that works for me. But I don't go sell it to people. People sell those things to me, and I've been trying. A lot of people have tried to convert me in many ways. I don't let it, because that's where my self-doubt I may have, but I am not a sucker for weakness. I love what my history is, my culture is, and I want to celebrate it. And and like I said, I'm happy to work with anybody and everybody. I want to inquire. I don't like saying that I'm the best, I'm the best. No, we collaborate. We agree to disagree, and then obviously, I think people should read these books that I've suggested. The answers. I mean, they're not answers; they're more questions. They'll help you, enable you to think more. So yeah, so India is the best place to be in. I thought America was great as well, because I mean, you look at the UK, man, and they're struggling to blend cultures. The British Empire had 430 million people under it, but they extracted it, and they gave access to the wrong set of people who didn't access British identity. British identity is what? People get confused. It's British identity is England, Wales, Scotland, and Ireland, Northern Ireland, right? If you take that away, England is England. It's English, right? So they've had a very bad time integrating culture. In India, we've integrated everything. Think about it. Food, right? So people should read the history of Indian food by K.T. Acharya. They will know where they stand. It'll give you answers to whatever your ancestors were. It's beautiful. This land is beautiful, man. I am really proud to be an Indian, and I may not be a millionaire to say it. I mean, this is the place that, if at all, this is the place that I mean, people can say England is home to me. I love England as well. I've been there, I've lived there. I love US as well. I've lived there. But if if somebody tries to cancel your culture in the name of religion, if it cancels your family in the name of religion, or tries to say that we are better than yours, no, I mean, I don't like these unitary monotheistic religions. No, I don't like it. Yeah.
That was that was a very
exactly.
beautiful way to put it.
Explanation of
Yeah, of course.
how diverse India is.
Yeah,
So,
and I think
yeah.
we also love India a bit more than we used to. Yeah, so yeah, thanks for putting such perspectives
Yeah,
into place.
exactly.
I mean, it's very rewarding, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm glad to share. This is the experience,
So,
right? I'm just
yeah.
sharing my experience. That's it.
Yeah, of course,
That's great.
of course.
You're learning as well.
Yeah, exactly. we are learning from your
Yeah,
experiences, actually.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like we've lived what you have. So it's really amazing
Yeah.
how blended we are. Yeah, so I think so far we've asked a lot of serious questions. I mean, of course, all of them had valuable insights, don't you think, Roshni?
Yeah,
But
Yeah, let's make it
yeah,
fun. I'm
let's
glad. I was
get to
becoming very
know.
serious. That's me. And a lot of you saying, man, this guy, come on, man. This guy's so serious.
Yeah, so let's get to know more about the Vishal beyond his work,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Go on, ask.
So yeah, we are. We know you are very passionate about the tech
Yeah,
industry,
exactly.
entrepreneurial ventures, innovation, and business. But a little birdie called Instagram let us in on a secret about you. I mean, you are also into, like you've also said initially as it started, that you are into music and history and books as well as we moved ahead. So yeah, how did those interests come about? Specifically, like what drew you to Hindu philosophy, the Roman Empire,
Yeah,
and
Hindu
music.
philosophy. Yeah.
You play the guitar as well. So
Yeah.
like, what? How did all those interests come about?
I wish I had a teacher like Udita's dad. I seriously wish that. But yeah, how did these things happen? Quick answer. My mother used to read a lot to me as a child, and I picked up reading. But then my family went through. Every family goes through struggle. When she was also working. So when my family went through struggle, there was a point of time I never read anything. So between the fourth standard to the 10th standard, 6 years, I didn't read anything. That's also the time when TV started becoming popular in India. But I always read comics. For some reason, I read comics. I didn't graduate into your Enid Blyton's or this, Hardy Boys. Hardy Boys is something that was very popular back then. Hardy Boys. But I used to read Asterix and Tintin over and again, over and again. I've read all of them. And then Tinkle was something that I used to read. But I never graduated because of the chaos within my family. And what happened is one day I was sitting with a family, my mother's brother and his wife. She was a administrative service entrepreneur and no, administrative service bureaucrat. Pardon me. And she and my uncle, was a lawyer, said it was just that one piece of information. Always, it's been moments that changed my life have always been these small phrases. She just said, "Hey Vishal, there's so many books in my house. Why don't you read? Read for 20 minutes." She just said that.
Yeah.
To this day, that I said, okay, why can't I do 20 minutes? Why can't I watch movies anyway? So I just picked up books. I mean, especially as I started reading I like political stuff. By then I was older. I was in the 12th standard. I didn't have to get back to, I didn't like these fancy, these fiction novels. I like fiction now, but back then I picked up on political fiction because I liked history. I had to start somewhere. I went political fiction, and my God, the 20 minutes eventually became 15 hours because then I went to Leeds. I had to read a lot, so it became so. I mean, reading became a second habit. Today I'm constantly reading news. I constantly, and sometimes you can't read because there's so much information. I'm also writing. I'm reading on business and everything because of my clients. I listen to Audible, still on history. So that's how the reading bit came about. That one phrase from my aunt Lalita. She was an administrative officer in Karnataka. So where she said, "I have all these books. Why don't you just pick something and read?" Okay. And how did the music happen? So music and exercise. So for me, reading, music, exercise. Can't miss these three. Music. My dad, being a businessman, he had money. So back then in '83, he was one of the few people who had music. You had a big TV, and in that TV, you had a color TV on top of that. And for the first time, Doordarshan in India aired American music. You have to remember, we're a socialist country in '83, '84 still. Okay, with few licenses given out to a few businessmen only. And you had to wait for, did you know, people apparently, in my generation that didn't happen. People had to wait for watches, people had to wait for cars. You wait, you have a you cannot acquire them like you go to a dealership or go to a retail shop. No, people had to wait. You order something, you wait 1 year. You waited 1 year for a watch, stuff like that. Right? So my dad had this TV, and my uncle was a weightlifting champion. I come from a rich history of family, man, a very good family. So my uncle was an academic mathematician and a Karnataka gold medalist in weightlifting. He loved music. So he would get all the kids together in the evening at 9 o'clock, 9:30. I still remember those songs that just came up on DD in 1984. 1984, 1985. If you go back on your pop music charts on Billboard, the music is phenomenal. And and DD would air this only 30 minutes. There was no reruns. If you'd heard these pieces once, the music as a 5-year-old just stuck in my head, okay? There were retail shops that had music in India, but you gotta go, you don't know the band. I mean, you have to go hum the music. And that guy, if he knew it, he'd say, hey, this is what it is. So obviously you try to quickly write down the names. Literally, everybody around you, all the kids. And my uncle, oh, that's Tears, that's Shaka Khan. I still remember that playlist, Shaka Khan, Tears for Fears, Hall and Oates, Bruce Springsteen, right? That said Foreigner, these bands, these 5-6 bands I can quickly remember. Then there was Genesis and Phil Collins, right? They would just play this music and it had to register in your head. And that's how you're musically into it. Man, what beautiful pieces of music. And from this new land called America. I mean, most of those bands are also English, for example, you later found out. But it is American. Yeah. It is American channels coming to us. And the reason I'll tell you why this is important. That one guitar, nobody understands. Everybody now plays that Dire Straits song "Money for Nothing" in the pub in India, and everybody knows that song. So I'll tell you an interesting fact on this song. We used to watch Grammy awards. So there's Dire Straits, they was nominated. And so this one riff, that's all that they played. I said, wow, that's the most interesting piece of music. And guess what? I just remember that music for the next 10 years. I kept going from shop to shop asking what this music is. It took me 10 years to find a guy who said, this is Dire Straits' Brothers in Arms album. Can you remember? That's what I mean. I mean, how did I get into music? Thanks my uncle, he got us into it. But playing music was because of you remembered these pieces of music and you said you want to try them out yourself. Although my dad never was a fan of music, in a sense, he would say music is for degenerates. He would say, in a sense, he said you can listen to it, but you can't go learn it. He thought it was for degenerates. Very frankly, he thought it wouldn't pay the bills. Okay, my mother and father. Unfortunately, although my mother was well read. But then when I started earning money, I said, hey, I want to learn those songs. And that's how I got into music. And now my mom and dad love it because I'm learning something. They finally realized that, hey, I'm not going to be wasting my life away. That was assured. They want security. But would I make a good musician? Okay, if the question was that, music, neurons opens up your mind. You need to practice. Again, like I said, it's experience of the sound, experience of the stage. And in the end, it's that spiritual thing. If you become a great musician, it's not money in the end. I have not even scratched those surfaces. Music can open up so many boundaries within yourself, and that's why it's important. I must tell you that if I practiced as much music, I'd probably be a good musician. But it takes years to train the ear. We are so visual as a nation. We've forgotten to hear, to listen. To your point, it's listening. So that's something that music has taught me, to listen to it. And not be carried away by the imagery. It says so much about life as well, right? Don't be carried over by the imagery presented to you, but listen, keep your ears open. That's I think that's something that I've learned with experience. That's how I became a musician. Exercise, don't even ask, came from a family that exercised. I was lazy initially, but I never let. And a lot of people, my friends say, Vishal, you have you've got yourself access to everything, but why haven't you got here? Maybe I'm lazy.
Yeah, we are also quite passionate about music. Exactly. I don't play anything, but Roshni here plays beautiful tabla actually.
Wow, that's good. I mean, seriously, anybody who plays percussion, I think if you play percussion and keyboard, I think music is vocal, percussion, man, and keyboard. They are your basis for everything else. So yeah, I still take music lessons.
Music is something. Yeah. Yeah.
I joined. I signed
So
up with a
music is a
Carnatic
very
teacher.
beautiful thing. It's like,
It is. It is,
yeah,
Roshni.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
right. You play the tabla,
Yeah,
right?
you were
Maybe
saying
next time you're in
something.
Bangalore, maybe next time you're in Bangalore, we should just go to a music shop and
Yeah.
play
Yeah,
some tabla.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Go on. I'm sorry I bore you with these long answers.
Sure.
This guy is on the geriatric side of life, man. I think that's
Sure, sure, sure. Why not?
so yeah. Another 10 years, if I do
I'll be
another
the biggest
podcast, I'll be the
You guys
I'm hope.
can play and I'll
Yeah, that'll be good.
along
That'll be
with
good.
Pooja, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That'll be good. So go on. I'm happy to answer more personal questions. Go on.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, you do so many things. Like, you play music and you're interested in so many things, and you create content and you host podcast. And of course, it can be a lot of fun. Like, we also do the same.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
really fun to meet interesting people like you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we know that we have a family to take care of. And so juggling all that, your content creation or whatever it is with family life can be a very difficult process. Like, although creating content can be a rewarding process, but it always comes with a set of challenges, like I said, juggling with family issues and stuff. So how do you find that balance? How do you find the work life balance, and how do you maintain that? Or any tips for rookies like us who on how to maintain a work life balance would be great.
That's the toughest question of the evening. Yeah, I have answers, but they're not easy. So if you're, but they're not easy. I will say that. Okay. Are you both married? Both married?
No.
Okay. 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 Here's the case.
No,
Because let me explain this one by one, because it's easy. It's not a cookie cutter approach. As a family, it's not easy if you have kids. A lot of people outsource kids to their maids. I haven't done it. I won't do it. Neither will my wife do it.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we have support of my mother, my mother-in-law, who are around, and family members are around. I don't go away from my kids. I want to wait till they get to first standard, till I completely become commercial and go out there and sell myself. I want to be around till they get to that 6-year age group, and they're in school from 9 to 3:30. I want to enjoy their childhood. Lot of sacrifices. Starting my business allowed me to have a few clients and spend time with my children. So that's one call. I have to start every year with saying, okay, can I earn enough money to pay for my children's school fees? The year starts like that. And the sacrifice I've made is time spent with them is very important for me. I'm like a child. I want to see my childhood in them. I mean, I don't have any expectations, but I reflect on the time that I was a child, and I see them and I feel so happy. And I embrace them. I mean, I play with them. I try to teach them. If they listen, that's fine. It's okay. I mean, I'm learning my own fears and angers go away when I spend time with them. I'm learning my own, you know, uh, the way you mature. My own maturity is reflecting through my kids, that I have my own self. My guitar teacher Vinish of Lucid Dreams told me that once the children are born, they're on their own. In a sense, they have their own mind. So you just and another thing, like I said, my uncle, the weightlifter Amarnath, he said you have to teach your kids to walk on the footpath and not on the road. That's all you can do, and the rest is left to them, which is so true. You can only show them the way, and the rest is chosen by them, right? They can choose to walk on the road or choose to walk the footpath. So I'm learning these things. Okay, now that's the kids, right? I feel like but my weakness is I want to spend every minute with them. It's not a weakness, but it's also true. If you don't go out, you don't earn, right? That's true. My wife was also a doctor, and I mean, it's not like a modern day couple where we say that we choose this time to spend with each other. We just have to spend time. I try to spend as much time with her as possible. I understand her. Motherhood and fatherhood both together are difficult. It's without both of them, there is no good children. The children learn from the quirks of the father and mother, the mistakes of the father and mother. Sometimes their own thoughts are shaped by these failures. And if you can get better as an individual, the kids get better. So you try to do your best. I would suggest that in a relationship, we all have the tendency to be watching our own programs and own devices, but it's important to have one person say, okay, you like this program, I'll sit and watch it with you. It's important for someone to come and say, let's sit and eat together, let's sit and go out. It's not material, like it should not be material. You should not have material expectations. The only material expectations are, can you educate the child, can you have enough for your old age, right? Nowadays our generation travels, can you save enough for your travels, if you want to. But that's not important. What's important is you have each other. Can you share your deepest darkest secrets, and then that person accepts you as is. And those deepest darkest secrets sometimes should be secrets, because you cannot reveal it to people if they get hurt. You have to keep it to yourself. There's a lot of sacrifice, but if you love that person, you have to realize their delta to appreciate what you are. Because if you share everything and anything, it can hurt that marriage or relationship. That's the marriage thing. That's what I've realized. And again, vulnerability, nobody wants to listen to. Everybody wants you to be superhuman, and sometimes I do share my vulnerability. It's okay. But you should also be careful as individuals, that some people can't have a threshold to that vulnerability. They don't want to listen to it. That you people as individuals should gauge. Unfortunately, that's how. If you look at our grandparents, forget our parents' generation. Our grandparents, they had their own quirks. They stayed together as a family, but they had problems with each other, but they never discussed the outside. They never brought the outside world, their outside world, into the house. The moment you start bringing the outside world into the house, friends and their life and your problems there and your digressions and transgressions there into the house, that's when it'll bite you. I would advise, don't. And now it's always easy to say, I want to share and be an open book, an open world. But at what cost, you have to realize. It's very difficult, human relationships and institutions, right? Again, going back, it's a work in progress. So my advice is, you celebrate things, but don't be overtly saying, I've seen people who love dogs and say we love wildlife, but damn, wildlife is very different from pet animals. Correct. So they're two different things. Your approach to it should be different. But people go overboard in many of these things, and it's true. There has to be an element of detachment, which our civilization was used to. We have to learn it. We have lost it. But it'll come with experience and chaos. You have to be detached. At a certain level, you have to be detached. Like I said, when I was going through that problem last week, I had to be detached. I had to find answers within myself. Now, how did I do that? I went and bought a guitar. Okay. Yeah, and my wife will listen to this at some point, but I bought that guitar. She'll see it sometime this week. It's in another part of the room where she doesn't see it, but it is around. So you don't go discuss it. You won't say, hey, I want to get rid of my depression and here's a guitar. You don't. You enjoy that and keep it there till they see it and say, oh, okay, fine. Yeah, that's how you handle it. Yeah. You should be careful with what you share and how it. Rightly so, right? Is the other person prepared? Is the question. And sometimes they may never be prepared, even after your preparation. So you should be ready for any consequence and accept it. That's why if you look at it, divorce rates in India are over the roof, because people get married for the wrong reasons. Instead of saying don't get married, you want to make love outside of the marriage, do it. And that's what I'm saying. When you get married, accept it. That comes with a lot of changes and sacrifice. And love each other for that. In the end, you loved each other for maybe those things, children, books, and there's this whole Western thing that you get bored of each other, so you leave each other. Well, seriously, if I got bored of you, it's like saying I bought these guitars, and I love every guitar is like my son or daughter or my wife. I love it with an equal thing, right? Yeah. That we should probably have that, but if people are abusive, you got to take a call. But I with abusive people, I have a low threshold. I can't I just avoid them, or I try to find ways to get away from them. But in a family that's healthy, accept that each of you is different. The moment you accept it, You will have those challenges. It's not easy that I said it and tomorrow you guys accept it. Each one has its own experience, and you'll change, and you'll change in time. That's why they call it an institution. Things institutionalize you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
True.
Totally agreed. And I mean, I think everyone watching this, when they watch this, they would take away a lot from you. Like we are doing right now. So yeah, Vishal, I'm sure you are happy and content with what you do now and how things are turning out to be for you. But let's just say you could rewind and be the 20-year-old Vishal again. So is there anything you would do differently, or maybe a piece of advice that you would like to give your younger self?
I'd practice the things I love more. I probably would have become a historian. I probably would have gone after that very, very much and probably ended up writing a few books, which is why at 45 now I'm out on my own and trying to get back to that 20-year-old. But if it happens, it does. If it doesn't, it's okay. But the attempt is the same. The 20-year-old in me would go and say, let me go study Persian, Indian, and Chinese civilization, and come back with a book that talks about how probably write a fiction and a book around civilizational changes, and also a fiction around how 17th century India, which was 26% of the world's GDP was ours, and how that died in 10 years, right? And perhaps do those things. That is all. I would go back and find. I was a lost child. I told you there was chaos in the family for many years, financially, because of my dad's businesses, and there was no direction. So I found direction. I'm happy that I found direction on my own. I've always been on my own. I listen to people's thoughts and then say, does it work for me? And I imply a 20-year-old would have said, Vishal, you've always loved history. I remember I started loving history from age of 4. Okay, I was like that. So if I'd known that from the age of 4, if my 20-year-old self said, Vishal, you know this, if that thing would have said, my mind would have said, forget everything else, forget everything around you, just focus on doing a BA history, work towards getting into a good university, and then do some research. But that wasn't there behind me. Although my family had achieved quite a lot, it was decaying in many ways. So I had to fight through the decay and come here, at least save myself, right? No excuses. A 20-year-old would have to, without excuses, I had to go do that history thing. Maybe that's what I would do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I think you would do really good at it.
yeah,
If
you will be,
yeah.
you would, if you start writing, I mean, we'll of course get those advices.
I'll keep you posted. Actually, I'm on to it from December 1st. That's tomorrow. So I'm going to be starting.
That's
Oh,
great.
that's great. Not perfect timing,
Yeah,
actually.
exactly.
We wish you the best
Yeah,
for your
exactly.
books.
For the book.
Yeah.
I have a lot of scripts written, so I will probably pursue them more seriously starting tomorrow.
You
Again,
have it written. Script
I
written.
already
Okay,
I
amazing.
have many scripts written, 30,000 words.
Yeah.
I've written about 5-6 stories that are half done, not even half, 5% done. I need to get them to 100%. So yeah, so that's where I am. The 20-year-old would do that,
Get
man.
there, and you would be great at it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
You
pretty
would be
sure.
perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. And I'm sure everybody, you both should also go after what you like to do. But failure is the key. You may never make it. It's okay.
Yeah. So, Vishal, coming back to your podcast, like we have watched a couple of videos
Yeah.
and we really loved what you try to bring about.
Yeah.
And it's also amazing to see how much you have grown. Like throughout the podcast, we have, want to know so much about you.
Yeah.
So, is there anything new that is coming up or a new project you're excited about? Like you said, you're writing a book and you'll be starting on December 1st. So, is there anything else that you would like to share and any new thing that is coming up or you are currently
Working on.
I mean, the history part, the personal part are the books, and I will do it, and I'm going to do it religiously. On the business side, what's new is I've figured out in the 3 years that, again, corporations don't want podcasts or knowledge. They want solutions. So podcasts are an expense for them.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to do to them is I can enable their sales teams with bite-sized content. You don't have to send flyers. I can do those videos, and there are enough ways to prompt an AI to get you those brilliant videos in 2 minutes for you to go and now convince your team, to convince your customers that they have to access your technology or work on your technology. So yeah, if anyone's watching this, this is where I'm selling for the first time. So call Upstream Life. That's the update, which I've already experimented with on two
Yeah,
clients, and
yeah,
it's worked out. It's worked out. So that's the update. So that's the business side. I hope it works out. It's an hypothesis. Anyway, I've got several solutions as Upstream, but in the end of the day, why am I doing this podcast? Is because I want people to know that the world is fractured, but can we fix it? So so the upstream is the fix. The upstream is the brain, and the downstream is where you get to share that knowledge. So that's the thought process.
interesting.
That's
Good
amazing.
luck.
I have some guests coming up. Some interesting guests will come up for sure.
Okay, that's
Oh,
really
we
nice.
look forward
Yeah,
to it.
Like I told you about Godard Abel was a big guest this
yeah,
year.
yeah,
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 that's
yeah,
right.
yeah,
So
yeah.
there'll be many such, and there've been many such big people. You could see Upstream
Oh,
focus more on deep technology and and on the
Yes,
sustainable
yes.
planet. You'll see more of these podcasts coming out.
okay, cool. We'll surely
Yeah,
follow
yeah.
them. Yeah,
I'll share it with you. I'll share it with you guys for sure from now on.
yeah, sure, of course.
Please do
Yeah.
that.
Also, sadly, we've come to the end of the session, and it's been such wonderful conversation, and
Yeah,
we've
exactly.
thoroughly enjoyed it. What about you,
Yeah,
Roshni?
same, likewise.
I hope it's the same for you, because I mean,
Yeah,
we are taking a lot from
from
you.
you,
We are
right?
taking away a lot. So yeah, it's been one of those really moving
Very, very,
conversations.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
No, thank you. I'm able. I mean, I use this as a confession time. I could share everything that I was to a lot of people, and I want to share it from now on. I've always told other stories. It's about time I also told mine. And if it was interesting to your audience, I'm happy. Otherwise, you know, otherwise just go relax and watch a movie. You or follow me on LinkedIn, or I'm active on LinkedIn. Write to me, and I'm happy to talk about myself and Upstream. But Channa,
yeah.
Roshni, I think these podcasts that you guys are doing about creators very interesting. Uh, I will now follow it simply because the creator economy is big in India.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But
yeah,
again, not all creators make money. Not all
Correct.
creators, only 1% of them make money,
yeah,
because the algorithms are monopolistic, right? So that's why I tell all creators, you don't become an influencer. You're a creator at heart, but you have to figure out the customer journey. It's not
Correct.
about
Yeah.
followers, it's about what you offer your customer. And then
Very
you
true.
can make your money, be happy with whatever you earn.
Correct. Yeah. So before we wrap this up, let's imagine, yeah, your journey so far is like a book. It's a book. What would the title be of the book?
book.
Yeah.
That's an interesting. It's interesting. I'll tell you this, okay? Uh, I mean, I'll tell you. Somebody told me this, so I'm going to use this. So it's going to be Lone Wolf, Lost Soul.
Lone
Okay.
Wolf Lost
Lost
Soul
soul.
sounds super cool. It will
Yeah,
sell out.
exactly.
It will sell out
We
in
would be the first
was
one to read
of
it.
course. So yeah. So what would you want people to take away from Lone Wolf Lost
Lost
Soul?
soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People may think I'm a lone wolf, but basis this conversation, you know that I am a quiet wolf. Okay, I'm a quiet, introspective wolf, and being a lost soul at that, I'm really not. I'm on a self-discovery, and I'm really not lost. So that's what they'll discover in that. So every one of us is really not lost and not lonely. It's the thing that it's the perception of the world around you.
Yeah.
That's a very comforting.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
yeah, that's a comforting end to the session.
Yeah,
Really.
exactly. And
No, I have to thank you, Chandana, Roshni, and Skara. I mean, I really wish you
Yeah.
guys all the best. I know you guys are doing something for
Thank you.
creators, and I think the perseverance. Don't give up on business is business. You may fail, you may win, but it's important to
Yeah.
persist, reinvent yourself every year. There may be times there are no
Correct.
money, but don't go bite yourself. You can always say no to that Starbucks coffee. You could instead make your own filter coffee at home, or your own black coffee at home, right? So yeah, go sell to customers, be happy. And as individuals, don't take abuse, don't take toxicity, but be grateful in sharing knowledge, and be grateful in accepting your weakness and conquering them.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much for all the advice and all the insights that you have shared. And it's
Yeah.
been really great. And we had such a great pleasure having you.
Exactly.
Like, it's so amazing. By the end of this podcast, we are like, it is really good. So we don't have any words actually because it's so
Exactly.
good.
We are like, we are struck,
Yeah,
kind of.
exactly.
Yeah, we
It's
are in
really nice.
awe of like your experiences. It feels like we've lived them, and I don't know, something about this was really moving. So
Yeah,
yeah, we
exactly.
really thank you for such valuable insights and for
Yeah,
sharing your
exactly.
experience with us. It really,
Means a lot
we are
to us.
inspired,
Yeah.
and we are inspired by your passion for your work and the impact that you're creating. So really means a lot, and we cannot wait to see what is
Yeah,
next for you
exactly.
and upside. So yeah, wishing you
All the
all the very
best.
best.
No, thank you, and hopefully you guys make it to Bangalore at some point, or I bring my family there to Guwahati, and we'll all catch up, stay in touch, and everybody stay warm and stay happy, and and I know happy 2025, and I wish all of you watching this the very best, and and I hope Skara really succeeds in what it's doing. Thank you so much.